This video is intended to assist you in marketing your GovCon business. Responding to federal government market research in and of itself rarely results in a government contract award. A sources sought notice is merely an agency's attempt at gauging interested vendors. Opportunities at this early stage often lack funding and the details needed to put together a complete bid proposal. If you follow GovKid Method's process for reading and responding to market research, understand that you're doing so entirely at your own risk, and that you hold GovKid Method harmless to anything resulting from your own GovCon business activities. Now sit back and enjoy. Hey guys, what's going on? Derek James here with GovKid Method, and today I'm doing another sources sought market research walkthrough. I actually had a request to do a NAICS code 541511 and 541512 walkthrough for the IT services computer design field. So we'll be specifically taking a look at opportunities for the NAICS code, as well as jumping in to read and review at one particular opportunity and write up a sample sources sought response to that opportunity. As you can see on my screen, we'll be using this market research sources sought template that I've created. This is something that makes life a heck of a lot easier, and I've actually made this template available for purchase along with any of my other resources, and you can find that at the link below in the video description. Absolutely no pressure on that. Just enjoy this video and learn as much as you can from it. So we're gonna get started out. We're gonna go to beta.sam.gov as usual. And since we already know our NAICS code, I'm not going to go ahead and pull up and search through the NAICS code table, but that's always there. If you ever are in short of finding NAICS codes that are a match for your industry, you can always Google NAICS code, SBA NAICS code, and a table will pull up, and you can check out my other videos where I give you an example of that. But today we're going to scroll right down, and we're just going to get to work. We know that we have this 541511 NAICS code, as well as the 512 NAICS code for that, and we're looking at sources sought, so I will apply that filter. And today is May 11th, so I'm going to run a search for the next month, over the next 30 days. Getting ahead of myself. So in between today and June 11th, we'll see active sources sought response that are due within that time frame. That's essentially all this means. And there's a number of other filters like set-asides, PSC codes, and there's a lot of additional filters that I just don't use a whole lot of, but you can click that change filters and it'll open this up, and you just select them and you can update it as well. Trying to give you guys a little bit of side information on how to use beta.sam, since I know there's a lot of questions surrounding that still. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and look at the relevant time range for these particular NAICS codes for sources sought responses only. And you have to click that filter button because that just took us from 300 some odd opportunities down to 15. So if you didn't apply this due date range, you're going to be looking at a lot of really old expired opportunities. So we have 15 here. That's a manageable number. Looks like it's just 2 pages worth. So I'm just going to scroll and kind of look at the heading. If I had something more specific besides a NAICS code to look for, I would definitely keep that in mind, because this is IT. So unless you're in the IT field, migrate to Joe White micro malting machines. I have no idea what that is, and odds are a lot of you guys don't as well. Technical and programmatic support services. That's something that I would be more familiar with. It's more general. There's some protective domain services, request for information for this server virtualization. So it still looks like, even though we've selected only these 2 NAICS codes, there's still a variety of work that is being procured under these 2 NAICS codes. Mission assurance for Air Force propulsion. Let's go ahead and see what this second page, the statement for analysis services. Got this case management tracking. So, a lot of this doesn't mean much to me because I don't know what a lot of it is. So I'm going to go ahead and just start clicking on, I'm going to click on this CM-TARS Support Service 1 first. And just going to take a quick look before I commit to reading and reviewing it. I'm looking for the response date, which is May 21st. So that's 10 days from now. So that's adequate time to respond to this. This is our NAICS code 541511. I know that the place of performance is in Maryland. And they give me a bit of description here that goes right along with the title, Case Management Tracking Analysis and Review System, CM-TARS. And this is for the Secretary of the Air Force, which is the CCAF. Just looking down here, they give us a PWS as well as an RFI, probably a source of sought notice. In writing, that probably would give us a bit of a description of what they wanted in a response from us. I'm not seeing that they've decided on any set aside. They've left this blank. So, I really don't hate this so far, but at the same time, I really don't know anything about it. I'm waiting to read this information right here until we get into the documents. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this RFI document and just see what I'm getting myself into. How long is this? This is 4 pages. This time I'm going to go straight to what they want to know is the government will evaluate market information, which is essentially your response, to ascertain potential market capacity to do blank. So number 1 is to provide services and products that are consistent with the scope and scale with those described in the PWS. Well, that's just a boilerplate thing. That still doesn't tell me anything. Secondly, secure and apply the full range of corporate financial, human capital, technical resources required to successfully perform similar requirements. That really tells me nothing. Note, do not submit a response to the synopsis if you do not intend to bid on this project. So in this market research template that I've already created, I actually have a intent to bid statement built in, and I'll just show you since they're calling it out. In these sources sought responses, they want to know that you're going to be responding to the bid because they're going to consider your market research for procurement and acquisition strategy. If you have a good response or they think they want to work with you, they're going to take your response into account for moving ahead, whether that's your particular set aside that could affect the set aside strategy that they use for the procurement, as well as maybe any new information or questions that you may ask. They're going to consider that as well. But then if you give them all that and it actually goes into your favor and then you don't respond to the bid, there's few things that are more frustrating to contracting than having some really good responses to sources sought, and then they just ghost you when the bid comes out and you're like, well, where is this company? We prepared this solicitation with some of their information in mind, and now they're not even bidding on it. So that's where they're coming from, and that's why I include this intent to bid statement in the sources sought response. And I do recommend that you respond to those bids and opportunities that you're going after, that you respond to their market research, because it's the initial form of marketing. And then when you follow up with a bid, it allows you to develop, relationship and just show that you're a serious player in this game. That's why you need to focus on target agencies instead of just any bid that comes out and only looking at bids, because if you're going to do that, that's exactly the type of person that they're saying they don't want, right? Because you're just all over the place and you're not focused. So that's enough for that soapbox. Let's go ahead and get back to the requirement. And I'm going to scroll back up to the top. Here is a bit of a background onto the program, which I'm not going to read thoroughly right now. They're telling us if we want to respond, we can include a response no larger than 15 pages, 12 font size, and then they want you to write to number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So right away, this is looking like it might be a lot of information. We'll see. So they're calling it a capability statement. What it really is a white paper, because there's no such thing as a 15-page capability statement. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in now that we're going to be reading a bit more. They're saying they want you to address these following characteristics. This is a system called Case Management Tracking Analysis and Reporting System, CM-TARS. All right. It's got a Marionette front end, apps work. This is very technical and specific in nature, so you should quickly know whether this is for you or not. I mean, IT is a broad range. These NAICS codes, as we saw, are still a broad range. The 541, 511, and 512 NAICS codes that we ran in this filter. This application is integral to the day-to-day work of the Air Force employee as they process and review cases. So they're giving you a long list here of support that this system has to integrate with and work with. And a lot of this stuff, I don't even know what it is, right? Because I'm not in IT. So it's going to be very difficult for me to put together some sort of source of sought response to this if I have to write to this information. But let's see so far what else they want from us. If you believe you can meet the salient characteristics, which is all these bullet points, or you wish to change something, then the interested party is requested to submit a CAPE statement that includes the following. They want your company name, cage code, that's easy, DUNS number, we can do that, NAICS code, your mailing address and your email, your phone number, your point of contact information. So basically your whole company profile, which I'll show you, I have in the template here, because every source of sought wants that information. So here you have a nice company profile where you have all that information at hand. You've got your point of contact, you've got your cage, your DUNS, your set-asides. So that's kind of where that would go. B, any questions or clarifications regarding the proposal requirement or characteristics general requirement. So any questions that you have to clarify. So I've actually, I created this template, beforehand. I just created it because I know this is the typical type of stuff that contracting asks. So it just so happens that I have an area for questions that you need to answer from the government, but then also questions that you could propose. So what they're referring to in this B option is any questions or clarifications that you could propose that would go in this section here. So far, this is lining up pretty nicely. Let's move on to C, a brief description of any potential constraint or boundary that you anticipate regarding the requirement. So again, this would go into the questions or clarifications as far as I'm concerned, because this is where you're kind of giving them your information. This is the part of the market research where you as the contractor, the vendor, can give the government feedback on the information that they're giving you. And then D, any interested teaming arrangements if known. So if you have any teaming arrangements, we could create a section for that. That's just this number 2. Number 3, firms interested in responding to the solicitation when it is issued. So again, they only want you to respond to the sources sought if you're going to be interested in responding to the bid once it comes out in the future. This is not a bid. This is not a full-blown solicitation, RFP or RFQ. This is market research, sources sought, RFI, which is request for information. Think of it like this. Before they go through the whole process of putting something up for bid and developing an acquisition strategy or procurement strategy, first they need to get that information to base that strategy off of. So that is this status. This is that stage of the game, the very beginning stage of the game, where they're looking for market research. So you're not submitting bids right now. Submitting a CAPE statement is not the equivalent of submitting a bid, right? You're not submitting a proposal, you're not submitting pricing. You're just providing a capability statement, you're answering some questions, you're providing some basic information about your company and how your company could support this, and maybe any, issues or challenges that you see that would be helpful to the government in shaping this requirement. That's all you're doing with the sources sought. So number 4, a firm's capability to perform a contract of this type of work and complexity includes the firm's capability to execute comparable work performed within the last 3 years. So now they're talking about past performance and experience. So they want you to provide 3 examples at a minimum that include A, B, C, D, and E. And these are very common types of information that they want to see on a previous contract, whether it's government or commercial. So with experience and past performance being said, I actually have an area already laid out in the template that we're using today. So it's our experience. So what we'll be doing, and I'll show you how to do, is just plug in this A through E, and we'll break that up per project. So it'll make it a really easy plug and play, easy thing for you to respond to. I kind of got ahead of myself, guys, but this is the opportunity we're going to be reviewing today, just for the sake of not making this video longer than an hour that it's probably going to end up being. This will be the opportunity we are reviewing, since we're already halfway into it. Sometimes I like to bounce around and just open up several opportunities to see what one is the best, but this is looking like it'll line up really well with our template, and hopefully this is valuable to you. Anybody who's looking for IT and looking for the 541, 511, and 512 NAICS code. So moving on to number 5, firm's business category. So they're talking about your set aside here. So man, this is just working out perfect because in the company profile here, we have an option for all the set-asides. So that would answer their question right off the bat. They want to make sure that you're registered in SAM with number 6. That's easy. And then they're saying if significant subcontracting or teaming as anticipated, you need to address the administrative and management structure of such arrangements. They want to know what is going to be the hierarchy and who's going to be doing what work and who's going to be managing, and how are you still going to be in control as a prime contractor if you're going to be teaming or working with a subcontractor to fulfill some of the duties required in this. Then they're just letting us know that you got to have a email attachment that can't be too large in size. And then they just go on again. This is the first 2 that we read, and this is how they're going to evaluate your response. Basically, are you consistent with scope and scale? Which scope and scale is, are you relevant to the same type of work? And is it a similar size, scale, magnitude, dollar value? That's what we're talking about here. And then can you do the full range of things, all those bullet points? How many of those can your system? We're not even really clear yet on what the hell this thing is, to be honest. I don't know if we're looking at a piece of software. To me, it kind of seems like that. We're going to open up the second attachment that we didn't get to with the PWS scope of work and see if we can't just really get an idea of what this thing is. But they're saying based on the responses, this may be set aside for small business, or it may be open to full and open competition, or it may be procured as a sole source. So small business means total small business set aside. If you're a small business, you can respond to it. Full and open means anybody can respond to it. Bosch or BAE or Boeing or any of these super large companies, they could be responding to this, and they're going to have way better past performance than you. They're going to have way better economies of scale. Their pricing is probably going to be more competitive, or maybe not, because they have a lot more overhead. It kind of depends. Or if they do this as a sole source, they're going to find that only one company can provide this service. Then they're just going to give it directly to that one company, and it's not going to even be a competitive bid. It's just going to be sole sourced. Here you go, and they enter into an agreement directly with a contractor. So they're telling you basically this thing could go any way. That's why it's so important that you respond to this sources out market research, but only if you're going to plan to bid on it. Because if you're a small business and you respond, and there's the rule of 2, but if there's a lot of small businesses that respond and they set it aside for small business, but then they don't get adequate responses in the bidding, they're going to be like, well, what the heck, man? We should have just opened this up for full and open competition, right? So don't waste their time. Don't waste your own taxpayers' dollars making them go through this process all over again. That's really what they're telling you here. And I really try to drive that point home so that you're marketing your company in the best light. So after all that, if you are interested, respond by May 21st. You can email it to Moira McLaughlin and to Miss Brandy Sangot. They give you the emails. This is the contracting officer and the specialist, and you're just going to include your, what we would do is, we take our template, and then you're going to save it off, and you're going to write a short email, and this is going to be saved as your response. This is your market research response, right? It's going to be no more than 15 pages, and it's going to address all the information that we're going to get into in just a minute. That's what you would do in accordance with this, okay? So let's take one quick step back. Let me catch my breath. I want to open this second attachment, this PWS, Performance of Work Statement. Looks like it's 21 pages. Definitely not reading this whole thing. I just want to see if I can't get a gauge of what this is. This CM TARS O&M. They already told us this was at Joint Base Andrews. It's probably going to be performed on site. They said that was the place of performance. So it's not going to be at the contractor facility. And I'm just, I have an idea that this is software. but I want to get a bit of confirmation. I already did see software in the table of contents here, but they're giving us these 5 task descriptions. So let me see if I can't go ahead and find those on page 3. Task 1, project management support. The contractor shall provide program management and quality control activities for all tasks in accordance with the PWS. So this is, like a project manager, right? So this is a person. So we know that they need somebody to project manage this project, this thing that we're looking at. That's task 1. Task 2, end user support. The contractor shall verify and monitor activity of the applications, including software and software configuration, verify user activity, perform closeout tasks and procedures. This sounds like another body of work. This sounds like a person or persons, like a staffed person providing, these services. It says they shall respond by phone, email, do troubleshooting and monitoring to support this, this program, this project. That's task 2. Software development. The contractor shall develop the minimal number of custom components or modules required to meet requirements. Each solution software component shall be developed in accordance with the PWS. So this is software development. Again, this is bodies. This is people probably doing software development, butts in seats on base at Joint Base Andrews, providing this requirement. System admin support. This is definitely bodies. So this is looking like a staffed IT contract. Wasn't initially what I was thinking. I thought it was going to be more application based, like providing a application service, but it's more providing the people to administer and implement everything within this program. Task 5, agency web portal development and deployment. So the contractor shall provide expertise in maintaining and updating the website with the existing CMTARS application. So essentially CMTARS is the app. It's the, I'm gonna go ahead and try to go to Google. I highly doubt that this is gonna pull up, but it looks like there's GovTribe, so they're showing the same opportunity. But in terms of, we got a person here on LinkedIn that's pulling up, Andrea Gonzalez. Looks like she uses CMTARS in her job. So Google is an amazing thing. So this is a person who's probably already working on this contract. So, it's kind of crazy, but if you were to go after this contract during the bid, you could probably start doing your research in terms of finding candidates. You could reach out to these folks. You could find more information out. You could even find out what they're getting paid if they're willing to tell you or arrange. There's a amount of digging that you could do if you really wanted to. As you can see that there's a person that's coming up that's working for the CMTARS, uploading case documents, reviewing Board of Correction applications. Let me see. Providing comments or removing cases. So this is an example of a person who's actively using the CMTARS application. And this is in Randolph, Texas, so it's a different location. But who knows how wide stretching this application goes. It could be used in the Air Force all over the country. It probably is if it's doing case management and military records. So we'll just go ahead and head back. So now I have a bit of a better idea. This is definitely providing people from the sounds of it. Odds are this is a existing requirement. There's probably people already staffed providing this service. We haven't been able to confirm that yet, but they're giving us these 5 different task areas that definitely sound like they're manpower intensive. You would have to provide the people. I do want to wrap this up soon so that we can switch over to responding to this. I do want to know if you have to have a clearance, so I'm going to start doing some control finds. And I usually search for security, and I also search for clearance. because a lot of times with these IT requirements, a secret or a top secret clearance is required. I just haven't seen that yet. DD-254 is often key and is a key sign in telling you that you have to, okay, they're saying a NAICS clearance is necessary for access. So this is the most low, so this is the lowest level of clearance required. Almost anybody can, I'm not sure why it's not letting me highlight this. There we go. Almost anybody can get a NAICS clearance. It's the easiest to get. It doesn't take long. Security, secret, top secret, those can take, you know, many months to get one of those reviewed and passed through, especially now since everything's been backed up over the last couple of years. So if only a NAICS is required, then that's not something that should scare you away, because you should be able to get that. I'm gonna type in secret just to make sure. Okay, yeah, so secret isn't pulling up with anything, so this does not look like a secret or a top secret contract. Looks like you're gonna need a NAICS, and to have regular access, you're gonna have to get CAT cards and all your regular access type stuff for your people, for your contracted employees. So there's not a whole lot more that I want to show you guys. Let me just do one good browse, and then we'll move on to our response in the essence of time. They're letting you know that there's going to be a kickoff meeting, orientation meeting. This is how things are going to roll if you get this contract. The contractor shall provide a transition in plan at the kickoff meeting. So they're going to want to know how you're going to bring your people in, as well as a transition out plan 45 days prior to your contract ending. What are you going to do to offset things as you phase out of the contract? That's pretty typical though. Security instructions, access, we've seen that. Travel, local travel to attend meetings may be required at no cost to the government. Travel within the national capital region. That's kind of odd. I mean, if there's travel, they almost always allow you to have a travel pricing CLIN, and they may still allow that when the RFP or RFQ comes out in the future, give you a travel pricing CLIN where you can put some travel dollars on, you know, even if it's a couple grand or something like that. But they're saying travel to attend meetings or events may be required and no cost to the government. So maybe they're saying it's going to be super close. I don't know. Professionalism. You know, professional demeanor, all that good stuff. And then some definitions. So yeah, that's really all that I wanted to call out at a glance for that PWS. And again, we'll return to this RFI, source of stop notice, so that we can see again specifically what they want in our response. Now we're going to switch gears and kick on over to putting together a sample source of salt response to this market research. So with that being said, a lot of our time is going to be spent in our template here, because we're going to be filling this out. I'm not going to fill out every single thing in here because you're going to see what I mean. You're going to, you know, get the idea, but I'll show you where to plug everything in at, and you'll get the sense of what we're doing here, and we'll get the outline going as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close out some of these tabs. So we're dealing with the Air Force, the AFDW. What I want to know what that is. The AF, it's Air Force District of Washington, I guess, because we're dealing with Maryland. Okay, so let's go ahead and start filling this thing out. So this notice ID, that's going to be your solicitation number, if you will. I'm going to plug that in. This is for CMTAR's support services. We'll update the date to May 11th. Contracting officer or the specialist on this, we're just going to use Myra McLaughlin for right now. Did I spell that right? No, I did not. McLaughlin. And this is going to be for, this will be the address. So you could just plug that in there. See if it will allow me to do a format. Yeah, so it doesn't like that format, but you know, what you would plug it in here, CP 240 612. What is this long number? 1500 West Perimeter Road. You get the idea. You put the rest of the address in here. Okay. Scroll down to the next page. Again, we're going to use this same notice ID or solicitation number. We'll go ahead and replace that. You know, you're going to update the date. You can update your address, all your point of contact information, of course. And this is going to be to, we're going to say the Department of the Air Force. And we'll say AFDW. To provide CMTARS support services at JB Andrews, Maryland, because that's what they told us. And then so again, some of this information is redundant, but you know, everybody has a different style. I prefer to do it this way because it, what's our NAICS code? 541511. Because it makes the information easily accessible and just that much easier to for them to find. So I'm looking for the title for the NAICS code, which is Custom Computer Programming. That's what we put there. Again, this address, you would update that to reflect the address that you put in there. So you can do that. And then this would again be updated to Myra McLaughlin. And then you could plug in her email address. And then I'm not sure if they, yeah, they even give us her phone number, so you could go ahead and put that in there. So now we're kind of getting down here. This is, you know, this is the cover page that we filled out. Okay, this is standard. This is not typically counted in a page count. Our page count is 15 pages that we saw. We're not going to come any, you know, where near close to that in our outline here. So it just depends on how much you would write and fill this out as, but I don't think that you would exceed it. And this is a bit of an introduction opening letter for your source of sought notice. Oftentimes it's not counted in the page count either. So what we have here is a bit of an opening statement. Again, you're going to have your CMTARS, and you're basically repeating the same information again. CMTARS. So in response to solicitation CMTARS SSN for CMTARS support services to the Air Force, where was it? Yeah, AFDW at JB Andrews, Maryland. You know, their location. Then you're letting them know, you know, hey, we're a woman-owned small business, whatever your set-aside happens to be, update that. We specialize in providing whichever services. In this case, it would be IT-related services. And you would want to be specific on what those services are. Then our SAM profile is current with the completed reps and certs, and also reflects the appropriate NAICS codes, which is the NAICS code for this requirement. Basically letting them know that you have the NAICS code 541511 in your SAM.gov profile. Okay, that's what we're saying here. Because they can't give you a contract, you're not eligible for contract award if you don't have that NAICS code in with your profile. Because when they go to award it in the system to you, they don't have a NAICS code that matches it, it's not going to work. So anytime you respond to something, make sure you have that NAICS code added just in case. Then you have please find ABC company's response to include our company profile and information specific to the source of sought notice requirement, signed your name. So you could take an image, insert an image of your, you know, picture of your signature, you can put it there. That's usually the easiest way to sign it. But if you have this Microsoft Office digital ID, you can do that as well, but I don't. So just like that, guys, I kind of quickly just took you through this 2 really easy basic pages. Hopefully you don't have any questions about that. It's pretty straightforward. Just a very basic cover page and then a basic introductory opening paragraph, opening statement. There's a lot of redundancy, and I do that on purpose because it allows them to know that you know what you're doing, and it just makes it a lot easier for them to find the information. So this next page here, we actually have a table of contents that is going to kind of auto update as we make changes. We'll just have to go in and update the table when we change any of the sections in here. And since we're not limited on pages really, because it's only 15 pages, I'm going to go ahead and leave this in. But sometimes I'm going to take it out if you're limited to 3 to 5 pages and you need every page. It's not big enough to need a table of contents anyways, so you have that. So let's go ahead and again take a break, take a second to catch your breath. Let's come back to see what it is that they're really wanting in your sources sought response. This was in the first attachment. We're still in number 2. Now they want your company name, your cage code, your DUNS number, your NAICS codes. They want your address, your email address, phone numbers, and point of contact information. So that's really the first thing that we're looking for in this response as we get down to giving them specifically what they want. We're past that cover page and we're past that opening statement, right? Now we're starting to enter the more meaty part of the response. So with this template that we're using, I have something called a company profile summary. Okay, I made it very basic and segregated in a way so that all the important information is in this table. So as you can see, the name, the address, NAICS codes, DUNS, cage, any set-asides, everything that they just asked for, they're hit, boom, page 3. That's all that's on this page. I could have fit more on this page, but I didn't want to because I didn't want it to be overwhelming or to have the information, kind of like lost with over information or anything like that. So when they get to see this page, they get to see, wow, a nice company summary profile. I designed this in a way so that that's all that is here. It's so basic, but it's very powerful because they know that they have a page that they can quickly go to get all the information that they need on your company. That is the goal here. So that's everything that they have asked for, aside from indicate whether you're interested as a prime contractor or a subcontractor. That's actually really good. For the future, I may actually add that. So what we could do now is we could take out, see, they didn't ask for our website. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and do prime sub. And we can change this to, see how easy this is to change? We'll just say prime contractor. Yeah, I think that's fine, right? I kind of say that with a question mark, but yeah, that should suffice. If you wanted to do it differently, you could, but that lets them know that you are intending to bid as a prime contractor and not a subcontractor on this requirement. Or as you submit, this information for the sources sought. It's not a full-blown bid yet. So that's really 2A, okay? 2B, now we're getting into the meat of it again. Any questions or clarifications regarding the proposed requirement, characteristics, or general requirement? So we already have this questions proposed right here. So for right now, I'm going to highlight that to let us know that's one of the important sections. And I have some questions in here, but these are not specific questions. They're questions about, like, is there a site visit? When is the anticipated RFP solicitation release date? Is this a new or existing requirement? And if there's an incumbent, what is their name and the existing award number, so that you can do your own research on this. That question is okay to ask, and oftentimes they'll just give you that information. It is public information. So for B here, we do have this questions area laid out. So let's just kind of move on real quick. C, a brief description of any potential constraint or boundary that you anticipate regarding the requirement. So you could include that in here because to me, that's very similar to questions and clarifications. And now I have to think about this for a minute to see how I would want to do it. You know, for the sake of laying things out exactly the way they want them, which is 100% the way that I always say to do it. So you have a little bit of, leeway with this one to use your artistic license. We can make this its own title, or you could put it underneath this question section. That's kind of what I'm debating between, since it would really satisfy either one. For the purpose of this particular layout, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to copy and paste this brief description of any constraints. I'm going to consider this a question, and I'm going to input this in the questions addressed section because that's the way that this template is designed to be used. And so that will fit nicely right into there. And then any anticipated teaming arrangements, if known, is also what I'm going to consider another question that will allow you to write to it. And then the rest of this, they only have those two questions. So you can bullet these or whatever you want to do, and you can give yourself some space to write to it. So we will go ahead and highlight this area as well. Now we got these two main areas that are down. Questions, clarifications, any potential constraint or boundaries is here. And then any anticipated teaming arrangements they want to know in detail. If you were teaming, go ahead and write about that, write about the other company, maybe write about your experience with the other company, but then also write about how you are going to be the prime, or if you guys are doing this as a true teaming, 50-50, who is going to be doing the management aspect and what is going to be your involvement specifically in the management of this contract. And so we'll just go ahead and say, and if it's not applicable, you can say NA, no teaming arrangements are required, or if you are going to be teaming, you can say ABC, LLC, and XYZ company intend to bid on this opportunity through a teaming arrangement, and then go on to specify and clarify the duties that the XYZ will provide and the duties that ABC will provide. That's kind of how you can approach this if you want it. If you want to provide a brief description of any potential constraints or boundaries that you anticipate regarding this requirement, you can write that here. And if you're a technical person, you're an IT person, you're probably going to have some questions just to better understand this. You could include those type of questions in the questions proposed. But if you have any real concerns or see things being a problem, you want to include that in this constraint or boundaries section that they're giving you, okay? So I'm going to keep moving along here in the interest of time. Again, number 3 is just firms interested in responding to the solicitation when it's issued. Good to go. Number 4, a firm's capability to perform on this. So this is the experience section. So we already have this. Actually, we have that here. These other 2 sections we can leave in since we're not limited to a page limit of anything too small. We got 15 pages. So I'll leave those there for now, and I'll try to quickly address that after we finish this important part. So the experience, ABC LLC has over 10 years, however many years. Here's some boilerplate stuff that you can talk to. I'm going to go ahead and leave that in, and then I'm going to add an addition to that. We'll say relevant past performances. And we're going to say past performance 1. And then we're going to go 2 and 3. I'm going to try and speed up a little bit, guys, because this video is being a little bit longer than I want it to. And then for each, we're going to include A, B, C, D, and E, right? Can I copy and paste this? Will it be nice? Let's see if I can't just copy and paste that in right now. Yeah, that'll do for now. It's easier than me typing it all out. Value of the project. So what you're going to do is mirror the information that they gave you, and we could, no, this still falls under experience, so we don't have to make this a heading. I was considering making it a heading. So what you want to do is you could just do some basic, you can say the U.S. Army, whatever your customer name is, or if it's commercial, like I said, that's fine. It could be Microsoft, Maryland, because this is Maryland and it's in the same area. I don't know. Timeliness of the performance. This is a 24-year ongoing maintenance and troubleshooting contract. Something like that, I don't know. Customer satisfaction. Met all requirements and deliverables. Let's say on time and under budget. Dollar value of the project. You can say it was, I don't know, whatever it is. I'll say 1.2 million. In the description of the project, you would say a little bit about it. Provide app software development and integration with Microsoft existing hardware. I don't even know if that's right. I'm just making something up right now for the sake of having something. I'm not an IT person, obviously. Existing systems sounds better than hardware, right? Don't want that to be bullet. So that's just an example of how you could do one of these past performances. So you want to do 3 of these, 1, 2, and 3, and that would give them a lot more information in terms of the project experience that you have. Just keep in mind you want to be as relevant as possible in terms of scope and magnitude. You don't want to be giving them something that's way off base, that's not even related. I know that this is very specific, so if you're in the IT field, make sure that you're doing something with systems integration and some sort of app is preferred, because that's really what this whole is for, supporting that CMTARS application. So that's something that they would like to see. So this is that experience section. Coming back to now what it is that they're looking for in your response. I will just briefly touch on, I have a section here for qualifications. It just really gives you a spot to boast about your company and maybe talk about any licenses or industry specific things that you have. So you can delete these, critique them, add them, whatever. We're not limited on pages, so we don't have to delete it. Just make sure you don't have stuff in here that isn't correct for you. And then the understanding of the requirements section, I actually would probably delete this out, but it's really up to you. Again, they're not asking for it. Many times they do. So if you did want to do this, what this does is it lets them know, if you use this, that you're understanding the requirement. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of parrot back what the scope is. And you're identifying the location as Andrews, Maryland. If you were to propose a rough order of magnitude, you could. It just depends if you want to give them that feedback. You don't have to, and you may not even have enough information yet to do so. And actually, I talked about the place of performance. That's down here. That's Andrews base, Maryland. But then the period of performance, we don't know yet. I didn't see anything in terms of how long this contract is based on my quick read through. So you could say not applicable. That's really what the section is for, is to let them know what you're basing your assumptions and your clarifications off of, so that if you do have clarifications, you can refer to your understanding of the requirement, because maybe there's a misunderstanding somewhere. So that's the point of this section. It's not just to be fluff. It really is for you to demonstrate what your existing understanding is that you're basing any questions or clarifications off of. that's the point of this section. So you can use it for that and leave it and add to it. You definitely could add to it because there is no spot in here yet for like the technical, and there's so many technical things in that list that they gave us. Or if you just want to delete it out, since they're not specifically asking for it, you can totally delete it, but we're not limited on pages. So take that as you will. So let's just quickly go through firm's business category. We already have that in the, they want to know what set-asides you have. That is in our summary profile right down here. And then they're asking if you're registered SAM. And I believe I was even keen enough to, SAM registered, yes. So I even included that in your summary profile. If significant subcontractor or teaming is anticipated, they want to know that. So you actually could, that was the one more thing that I was thinking about, is adding as a question, significant, we already talked about it, right? That's what the first question was. Subcontracting or teaming. So we can just go ahead and say any anticipated teaming arrangements or subcontracting. I'll just add that so that it, kind of satisfies both. They're being a bit redundant, but we can call it out. And that's it, guys. That's it. They're saying email submissions should not be more than 2 megabytes in size. So they want a light file. And that's kind of how you quickly would slice up this source sought market research response. Again, this is for the 541-511 IT NAICS code. So I don't want to go any further than this. If you were to respond to this, you would save this off. You would probably put it as a PDF, make sure you sign it, attach that. If you wanted to attach a separate capability statement that you maybe already have for your company, you can include that as a separate attachment. You know what, that actually reminds me, because I kind of quickly went over, ignored this part. So we already talked about that intent to bid, and we would update this solicitation number again for that. TARS. And then the statement of capability is letting them know that you have a separate capability statement attached. So if you weren't going to attach a capability statement, you could just delete this whole section out. If you are going to use it, you can update your NAICS code as well to 541, 511, whatever your NAICS codes happen to be. So you can use that if you want, or if not, you can take that out. But I would leave in the intent to bid, because as you saw early on, they like to see that. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this source of sought market research walkthrough. If you like this video, please hit that like button. But more importantly, if you want to have a source of sought market research walkthrough done like I did today on your NAICS code or your industry, put that in the comments of the video. I specifically look for those. I love getting video comments. So if you want to support me, put some comments in the video. It gets the best video engagement that way. And of course, if you haven't yet subscribed and you like GovCon business related videos, that's all that I do. If you're new to my platform, welcome. Please consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.